astrology, which were the astrological chakras. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check it out. But today in particular, what we're going to be talking about is my other specialty, which is the fixed stars, which adds into a whole other system of essentially just like, you know, how I broadly create my little system around, I guess you could call it esoteric astrology or something along the lines of that. You can sort of look at the fixed star as the key, and then you can look at the rest of your actual chart and your solar map and your astrological chakras as an opportunity to understand from a bit of a deeper perspective. So when we talk about that and we experience that and kind of open ourselves up to that, we essentially see that it isn't exactly like an average horoscope or, you know, basic zodiac sign forecast. And it's a deeper understanding of ancestral intelligence, galactic perspective, and adding a lot more power into your concept of purpose and your ability to expand and be, and rooting yourself in your movement and your understanding of who you want to be, how you want to grow, and essentially just listening to yourself, right? So that is essentially the fixed star reading, where it is a deeper understanding of where you came from, your purpose, your mentality, and your understanding of who you are, how you want to be, and so on and so forth, right? Like it covers things like your purpose, your mentality, your past life, your perspective, and a deeper understanding of your emotional state and how you want to react and respond to certain things, right? So let me just get a couple more things together and DM some people and be like, yo, I'm live. I appreciate your modding services. But yeah, if you guys want to drop your moon sign and degree, please do. And then I will eventually get to a live reading at the end and whatnot. So yeah, please drop that for me. I got my wild berry tea that's cooling down. It's gonna be a vibe. Okay. Hey, how's it going? Everybody like the live, please. Oh, hey, Sean. Thanks for coming up. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of YouTube lives recently. I got kind of bored of whatchamacallit, Instagram and TikTok and etc. Just creating like robotic videos for like no reason, not hype on it, and I like to just, it's easier to express myself more freely here, so that's what I'm doing. This live's on the fixed stars and whatchamacallit, the fixed star reading. So drop your moon sign and degree, and I'll get into the fixed star eventually. But right now I'm kind of explaining the broad philosophy and theory behind a lot of it, just waiting for more people to hop in and do some stuff. Just DMing one of the members of the Alchemist Laboratory to be a mod and whatnot. That's not really the vibe of what I'm doing right now. Check some of my other lives if you want to see what was going on with that. But let me get back to my notes. Okay, so yeah, right now we're diving into like, I don't even know, like, if I wanted to be fancy, I could say it's long forgotten in mainstream astrology, but I've never really seen anybody do it like this, since it was like kind of gifted to me from spirit and etc. So essentially what we're doing is we're diving into the specific degree of your moon sign and checking out the fixed stars behind that. And essentially when we get into concepts like why degrees matter for a multitude of reasons, specifically with this, because it tells you exactly where you came from, basically. It tells you where you extracted your mentality from. So when people call things like, oh, I'm a Cancer moon or a Sag moon, that's just the shell of what it really is, right? Because essentially you can look at every other planet like a star. You can look at every other planet like its own star, right? And one of the most common misconceptions of Western astrology is that it's based on the stars. And it's not. It's based on the house systems, right? So when we talk about like why degrees matter in this space, because the degrees are a container for you to understand the actual stars behind them, right? Like it's just telling you this is a specific line in the 360-degree ecliptic that we live in that defines a space which is containing the stars that you think are influencing you, and they still are, but you're not necessarily paying attention to how it's influencing you or why it's influencing you. So when we combine that like degree and we take your moon sign and the exact degree plus the year you were born, we can isolate the exact constellation as well as the specific star that your moon aligns with, right? So when we talk about it in that way, we kind of expand astrology beyond a circle. We expand it. Thanks for coming, Beans. Appreciate you. We essentially like, we essentially really like it's hard to even encapsulate what exactly you get out of this in words because it's so deep. Because when we get into the degrees and we really open up the sky into the living memory of what all of those stars, oh, hello from Scotland. Actually, I have someone from Scotland visiting me over the summer. um yeah, so when we expand that and we really open ourselves up to everybody new, like the live, appreciate it, and drop your moon sign and degree if you know it, because I'm going to be doing live readings on that later, and I actually have a little stand for my phone now, so I can just pull it over, flip the camera, and just point at my computer when I look at stuff. So when we kind of expand that concept of astrology and we open ourselves up into a deeper knowledge of the stars, we kind of realize that it's not just a circle, it's a living memory of what is and what's existed and what's past. And we're kind of seeing the storytellers of the actual energies in those spaces open themselves up and really like guide us into a deeper space, right? Because it's one thing to say, like when we get into the examples, it's gonna get crazy. But like it's one thing to say that you're a Cancer moon or you're a Sagittarius moon, but for those in the Sagittarian space, it's another thing to say that I'm a Sagittarius moon. Um, oh, I appreciate you. Um, it's one thing to say you're a Sagittarius moon that angles the Centaurus constellation. It's another thing to say you're a Sagittarius moon that angles the Hercules constellation. It's another thing to say that you're a Sagittarius moon angling the Spear of the Boots constellation. It's another thing to say that you're a Sagittarius moon angling the Lupus constellation, and numerous other spaces, or Draco for that matter, that's actually in that space, enlightening you to a different perspective, right? Because when we get specific into degrees, yeah, Sag moons are all philosophical people that would rather just stay inside and watch a movie and opening themselves up to a different perspective than actually going and experience life. But it's another thing to say that you're a Sag moon angling the Hercules constellation and that you went through some type of struggle or transformation that you had to overcome within yourself that makes you very strong and very, mentally and verbally boisterous in terms of your own philosophies and what you're expressing, right? So that's where it gets deep, and that's like a little bit. All right, you're first in list, Shine. I'll get to that eventually. I got a lot to cover in terms of the fixed star, what it does for you, how the readings work, and how like example breakdowns. I got a lot going on, but I'm good. You're number one. Um, so yeah, and I think I've explained it to you briefly, like way back when I promoted this in a different way. But anyways, moving on to fixed star readings. Yeah, that would actually be great. Thanks, Beans. And then also, if you could go into the description and keep like reposting that welcome post that you had before, and essentially just like posting the little thing that I have in the description with like the link of how to actually get it and stuff. That would be cool. Thank you. Um, so yeah, so now getting into the specifics of like how I do fixed star readings and more or less like what they unlock. essentially what it unlocks is there's 4 or 5 main things that I focus on. The first thing is your true purpose in life, because your perspective, your power, and your mentality are all kind of the same thing, of where it's like your mind is directed in one specific way. It focuses on this exclusive thing. That usually leads to your struggle because it's your perspective, and every spirit that is incarnating in the physical world has to deal with Saturn and all that stuff, right? And has to deal with hardship and has to deal with struggle. And essentially, your unique perspective on that struggle is your gift and your purpose that you're cultivating in this world, right? So when we also deal with that, we're dealing with karmic lineage. So this is how I essentially ascertain a potential past life you may have lived, if not a that's annoying. Thanks for letting me know. I'm gonna fix that. Ooh, thank you. Oh, I just saw you put that in the group chat. Appreciate you. But that's weird. Shouldn't be that. I'll just find a new link. How in depth can I tell you about the past life stuff? Pretty deeply. Like, it's a very specific life because it's one you chose to isolate on. In terms of, say, like, it's one that's like deeply connected to this life. So when we talk about that, and so on and so forth, it is oh, I see what's going on here. 1 second, switching up a link. Okay. Gotcha. No, it's like it's not necessarily the most recent one. It's kind of like one that is deeply connected to this lifetime for a specific purpose. That is, your soul contract type of stuff. So I can't tell you like exactly when it happened because timeline shifts along with like, so there's timeline shifts, there's dimensional shifts, there's a lot going on. So it's like when people think about past life readings, they specifically focus on, oh, thank you. They specifically focus on like usually lives on Earth in some way, and that's not exactly what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm focusing on a interdimensional past life or a karmic connection to a specific star to help you better understand your mentality in this lifetime. Whatchamacallit, Beans, I fixed the length. Let me know if it's working. I think it was too close to the emoji. But anyways, when we're talking about things like your true purpose, this isn't something that like society gives you. It's the one your soul remembers, right? So it's the one that is connected to a specific energy of this fixed star. So when we talk about that, it is a bit more abundant in terms of who you want to be and why you incarnated here, because when it comes to the purpose and the connection between that star, it's a different like it's more or less a crapshoot of whether it was a past life or not. Like what I'm using to decipher if it was a past life is like how deeply connected it seems to be in your chart and some other chart based metrics of how you can figure out a past life. So like for example, kind of like figuring out your south node and that connection to the moon can give you some insights, as well as when you pull into astrocartography and you look at that south node IC line of its like double comfort, and that's kind of hitting. So it's like those are some other metrics you can figure out that I utilize to be like, hey, this is your past life with your star, right? But for the most part, I try to reserve myself to genetics. I try to reserve myself to, what's the word? I try to reserve myself to understanding like the karmic connection of your mentality in this life and that star, which leads to a high likelihood of having a past life because you have a specific connection to that star and that's the space you came from. So your spirit was oscillating there or doing something over there depending on reincarnation cycles. But essentially what it leads to is things like your perspective, right? So it's how you actually see the world, especially when you're under pressure, right? So it can lead to basic things like fight or flight. I don't usually dive into that, but you can ascertain that. And then the main thing that I'm kind of focusing on here is karmic lineage. So it's sort of the energies that you carried from a past life that made you choose to associate your mentality with that star, right? So it's like whatever you're doing, whether you were living on that star or you were moving forward and you had to, you know, take a break from Earth and go to that star to learn something or like, you know, release some type of karma in some way, shape, or form. It's a crapshoot. Like the deciding that is also kind of going into a different perspective of past lives of where it's like they're more or less ego driven. Like I don't really do past life readings specifically because they're not really beneficial in any way, shape, or form. But it's just cool and people like it, so I do it because it's fun. But just know that, And then the next main thing that kind of comes with that is the gift of your power, which comes from clarity, right? And I was talking about this in my Scorpio reading on one of my more recent lives. I forget if it was yesterday or if it was like Saturn retrograde or Mercury retrograde. I forget which one it was. But it was one that was like what was it? Regardless, I was talking about Scorpio it was Mercury retrograde? Thanks. But yeah, I was basically saying that clarity is thank you very much, Beans. Clarity is a superpower, right? Because it allows you to focus your energy so deeply on one specific outcome that you are completely relentless in your pursuit of it, So it's super powerful to focus on, it's super powerful to make happen, and it's super powerful to really expand, right? So it's kind of like when you understand your moon's fixed star, you begin to understand the why behind your emotional patterns, not just what they are. And kind of like once you've got clarity on that, you don't exactly navigate your life in the same way you used to. You sort of command it from the inside and out, which is a phenomenal opportunity for you to just like you're just lit, man. You just be doing your thing. You know your fixed star, you know what you're here to do, you have purpose. And then all you have to do is kind of like ride the wave to experience that, So it's a wild time, bruh. I don't really talk about my fixed star and what my moon's aligned with. So yeah, you'll probably never know. But anyways, moving on to an example breakdown. Let's the example I wrote down here is someone who was born in 1994 and has a 5-degree Leo moon. That's funny. So essentially, let's look that up, right? Okay. 5-degree Leo moon. Everybody who's new, drop your moon sign and degree because I'm going to be doing live readings later. Okay, let's figure this out. Okay, so one key thing of why I mentioned the year is because I'm not doing an all signs reading. I'm doing a reading based on if you know your moon sign, degree, and the year you were born. It's very important you have all of those because without that I can't do it and we're getting a list. So yeah, we're doing 5-degree Leo moon at 1994. One of the distinctions of why this can be difficult for people is because the fixed stars move 1 degree every 72 years. So what that means is every year they move 0.838 minutes, meaning that essentially if you were born in, so say 1 degree of Aries in the year 2000, that would equal to the same star being at 1 degree and 42 minutes in 2050. So if we have an example of a 5-degree Leo moon at exactly 5 degrees, and this person was born in 1994, that means that they are... Oh, shit, I forgot to write the timestamps down for the one thing. Let me finish this and then I'll write that down. So if it's like... If essentially, if someone's born at 19... like 94, that's 6 years. So adding all that up in like mental math, that's basically like 5 minutes less of whatever it's advertised as. So we're really looking for something at 4 degrees and 55 minutes of Leo, right? Instead of 5 degrees of Leo, because that's how the stars are listed on all the websites and whatnot. Yeah, that's correct. Not moon year, just like whatever year you were born, and then the degree and stuff. Okay, so moving on, right? So we got Leo. We're looking at something that's actually at 4 degrees and 55 minutes of Leo. There's a pretty big gap in terms of fixed stars from Cancer to Leo for some reason, so you really got to kind of dig. My guess is it's going to be either Cancer or one of the Canis Major constellations. You go to any astrology website and you essentially like type in your birth time, date, and place so you can actually see your chart and it'll tell you your moon sign. Or if you tell me your whatchamacallit. Actually, no, I don't want to do all that. That's too much mental math that I'm doing. But yeah, just look it up. Okay, so we have one close. First guesstimate is yeah, for sure. First guesstimate is this star called Tarf, which is in the Cancer constellation, and it's 4 degrees and 16 minutes. However, we can get a little bit closer than that. If you got yours, drop it in the comments, dude. The mod, the Healing Rebel, go subscribe to her too. She is keeping a list, and you're probably going to be like number 2. So we're getting to it. Let me keep looking. Let's try this one. All right, 2004, 24 degree Pisces moon. Keep that in mind. Oh, dang, this is still... Let me go back. Oh, yeah, and if you guys want to follow along, the sites that I use to find all these fixed stars is Constellation of Words or the Astrology King and their fixed stars. Yeah, it's not Procyon. Oh yeah, not Canis Major, I meant Ursa Major. I was thinking Bear, but I didn't think all the way. Ah, yep, here's more like it. It's close, but not quite. Okay, we got something closer. We have something at 5 degrees of Leo and 10 minutes. We can get closer though. I would be surprised if Boots actually angles that part of Leo. It does not, like I thought. Here, let me see if I can move this around so you guys can see. I got my phone stand. I might look kind of stupid. Okay, here we go. Let me wipe this off. Okay, so here you can see that we are looking for, once again, 4 degrees of Leo in 55 minutes, but you know, sometimes I just go like, all right, I've looked at everything and it's not as close as I want. This is the closest one I've found so far, but it's not quite it. So let's keep looking. We tried Ursa Major. Let's try Ursa Minor. Nope, same star, same constellation. Oh, the actual Leo constellation. Let's see. Nope. Acubins in the Cancer constellation. Dubhe. Kochab? Yeah, Ursa Minor. That's what I was looking for. Nope. That's not it. The Hydra. Let's see. Oh, close but not quite. Let me check my resources of all the things that I've done. So this is basically a collection of every single reading I've ever done. It's still loading. It's like a 500 to 600 page document. We're in Leo space. Let's see what I got. Oh yeah, Altarf, that's the one that I said was close, but not quite. Dang, I got nothing at 4 degrees and 55 minutes. Okay. Back to the actual fixed star site. Yeah, I believe it. Let's say 18 minutes. Okay, let's try Canis Minor. Is that it? Nope. Let's try Monoceros. Oh, damn, we were close. So close. Nope. Argos Navis? I'd be surprised. Nope. We tried, no. Chameleon, maybe. Nope. So close, but not quite. Columba. No, not surprised. That one. Nope. Okay, let's go to the classic Eridanus constellation. Ackermer is one of them. Nope. Yeah, this is pretty much what I do for like the first half of a fixed star reading. I'm just like, where the fuck is this exact star? I'll find it though. I haven't seen this one in a while. The obsolete constellations. Nope. Okay. So Altarf. Well, what constellations are around the Cancer constellation? The Lynx constellation. Haven't done a reading on that one in a while. Oh my god, it's so close, but not quite. I'm telling you, there's this weird gap between like 25 degrees of Cancer and 7 degrees of Leo where there's just nothing. I always try to find what it is. Pick the hard one as an example. Whatchamacallit? Like, the closest one I found is that one in the Ursa Major constellation. Let me look. So for time purposes, we'll just do that. Okay, so for example purposes, normally I would not pick this star for a reading. I would actually do much more time to, I would do much more time into finding something that's closer, especially with taking into account the latitude of things. But since it took a while to find something that was much closer to 5 degrees of Leo, we're just gonna pick this one, right? So it's 5 degrees of Leo, and then it's 10 UMA. So let's try to find it in here. We got 55 UMA, 68. Oh, wait, I'm being silly. Let me see what star it's near. Okay, so it's near the Alcafra. Okay. So it's near there. Let's find that. Aha, Alcafra, right here. It's next to Talitha. Oh, I've done a reading on Talitha. Talitha's fun. So let's keep looking. Double check how close it is. So it's in here somewhere. Okay. I didn't realize it was that close to Talitha. Gotcha. Okay, where's Al Haoud? It's all up here. Okay, so it is the right paw, essentially, of the Canis Major constellation. Okay, so we found the star for the example reading. I'm gonna bring my face back. Yeah. Okay, so after you do all that and you isolate to the degree and you figure out where it is in the body, part of how I extract a lot of the breakdowns of what's going on is I utilize this concept of the solar map to basically associate that part of the body as well as some other spiritual practices and figuring out what part of the body it is and correlating that to certain experiences, right? So when we talk about the fixed stars, we know the reason of why it's behind the moon sign, so on and so forth. But we are looking at essentially the energy of what's going on there, right? So we know it's Leo. We know it likes to be seen. We know it likes to express itself. We know it feels a need to shine, right? But when we know that it is the right claw, we know that it shines most in points of transit as well as points of violence, right? And it's always a little bit of something in regards to childhood because when we come with the arms as well as the shoulders, we know that the third house is correlated to under the armpits, to under the nose, meaning that it's a form of childhood communication that is stuck in the nervous system in some way, shape, or form, right? So when we talk about that, we understand that 5 degrees of Leo is an opportunity to essentially, it's very boisterous, it's very simple in terms of its emotional extractions. And we also know that some of its triggers deal with childhood, right? So when it comes to its attacking its mentality, when it comes to attacking its understanding of who it is and what it wants to be, when it comes to its attack on its mentality and communication style, it is an opportunity to essentially have them figure out that with their boisterous and clear expressions, they aren't exactly what they think they need to be, right? So they aren't exactly all the way themselves. They are a little bit stuck in childish programming with that, but they will fight for you. They will be a loyal friend and they will be a powerful friend, right? But when it comes to their past lives may have been a bit animalistic. When it comes to their purpose may be a lot of clarity and support of their friends and loved ones. When it comes to their essentially, when it comes to their, sorry, I'm distracted by that. Sounds chill. But when it comes to this person, like their mentality is around a lot of like friend support. It's around just like being that like one person that isn't exactly like, I wouldn't necessarily say make too many intelligence guesstimates off of a fixed star reading like this, but what I would say is that they don't necessarily need traditional academic intelligence to thrive or be successful in any way, shape, or form. So they have a pretty huge opportunity to open themselves up and, you know, be powerful in that regard. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist. I go into much more detail in my fixed star reading, so check out that link that Beans dropped. It also comes with a little discount code for y'all if you want to check it out. Now, let's move on to the next part, right? So that's pretty much how I do it. Now, more specifically of how I do fixed star readings. How I do fixed star readings is essentially I need your moon sign, I need your exact degree, I need your year of birth, and then once I have all of those, I kind of map around the star and the constellation you were born in, and then I begin in a layered flow of breaking down like why your fixed star is important. I give you a written description and a video. I break down your what I call your house moon, which is your western moon sign. I break down the constellation that your moon is associated with. Then I break down the fixed star, and then I break down the fixed star of how it's associated with your moon to give you a layered perspective of how your uniqueness, how your own individuality, and how your unique power in this lifetime is going to be filtered through the alignments of our local solar system. So when it comes to that, we kind of deal with a bit of like potentials around your past lives. I get into that. I get into your purpose according to your moon sign. And then what I really focus on is your mentality and what your mind is directed towards in that, which can lead to some emotional coding as well as chakra overlays, right? So when I did and it kind of looks like it's basically a 14-page document, and how I'm actually expanding and improving that is, for those that are more familiar with my channel, I've been working on actually having a collection of YouTube videos, because no one's actually done it, of the astrological influences of the 88 constellations, So I've been breaking that down. And what I'm going to start adding into the fixed star readings is like I'm going to add in the actual video that breaks down like, here, this is your star and constellation. This is that, And I actually break it down in a way to where it's like every single learning or content absorption style is going to be possible on that, So whatchamacallit, essentially, that's sort of how I break it down and how I structure it so people can have that kind of egoic, like, past life reading, like, ooh, this is interesting. Essentially, it is a opportunity for you to just have a document to go back to understand your alignments and what's going on with you. So, yeah. Pretty much, like, so if you looked at it like that, I don't know, I mean, I feel like it's kind of more than a reading. I feel like it's a esoteric compass for what's going on. It's an esoteric guide stone. It's almost like how the quote unquote what the hell is that city of gold name? There's like that famous ancient story of the city of gold that was recently popularized in I think it was The Outer Banks on Netflix, where it's like they found that city of gold, and I always like find that stuff funny because it's just like, how's that gonna crash the gold market, But the point is there's a little like thing in that story called Solana, which is the guide stone that leads you to the ancient city of gold. But you can kind of look at this reading like a sort of centering fact for understanding your purpose, especially through astrology, with a hint and a flare of past life potentiality. But it's not really just information. It's integration. It opens you up. It shows you what it is, and it helps you just like not react to your emotions anymore, right? Because one of the things I say, or I used to say in a lot of my Instagram videos, is at the end I would say, follow to level up as a spirit, And a lot of people ended up using that. A lot of that ends up essentially being like, a lot of clients would like use that against me in some way, shape, or form, because for like this exact reason right here, where it's like, your fixed star is supposed to guide you and help you understand that your emotions are just like thoughts of where there's something that is for you to experience, but not necessarily yours. And more often than not, they want to essentially, just like those type of people usually use like readings as an excuse to validate like their emotional quote unquote needs, and it's kind of not what it's here for. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, what the fixed star readings is, are you a troll? That was funny. But essentially, it becomes like a remembering what you came here to hold, what you came to experience, because a lot of people say when they incarnate, This is where like free will debates come into play, because it's like, yeah, you know, like this is my vibe, this is what I got going on, this is what we're doing, this is what we have, blah 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 blah, you know. And some people say things along the lines of, how do you put it? People say things like, you know, free will's here or it's not. But one of the things that kind of comes into play in regards to this is like, you incarnated already making all of your decisions. So it's like you may not be consciously having free will right now, and you're just understanding why you made the decisions that you made for the purpose of integrating some lessons for XYZ reasons. But yeah, it's pretty much like just let them troll, man. That was funny. But essentially it's like when you get your fixed star reading and you truly understand what's going on, you recognize that it's almost a like such a deeply core vibrational experience that remembering your fixed star becomes a nervous system reset. It becomes a ritual, and it really grounds you into your purpose of what you're here, right? So it's just like, I went through all of this really young when I was like figuring all this stuff out for myself. And pretty much ever since then, it's like, I don't know what it's like to live without purpose. Like, I always have things I do. I always have things that are truly aligned with me. And that like came from having a long time of just not enjoying anything and not having a purpose, which made the power of understanding what was truly clear and resonated with me to be much, much, much more, more, whatchamacallit, sorry, I'm distracted by the evangelism points. I mean, that's cool, but I'm not sure how it pertains to what I'm saying. But essentially, like, when it comes to the fixed stars, like, it's a very grounding thing. It is remembering what you came here to be, and so on and so forth. So yeah, if you guys essentially want a fixed star reading that goes into more detail of what I'm about to do, check it out. Beans has been posting a link with all that stuff along with the discount code, so check it out. And then whatchamacallit, yeah, well, I got one to do. I have to do one that is 5 degrees Aries moon, born in 93, and we're gonna break that down. So let's get to the live readings. Okay. I don't want to be less. Yeah, I mean, you know, do you? Okay, 5 degrees Aries. So that means we have to subtract roughly like 5.5 minutes for 7 years. That's about right. Thank you. Yeah, you can click the link and get a reading right there if you want. 5 degrees of Aries. Okay, let me just get my own resources. Be easier. Okay, I don't have that. Swore I would have done that. Oh, I didn't write it down, that's why. Now you can see all the time it took me to find the star. Because sometimes they take a long ass time. Cepheus, what up? Did you say like what minute it was? Because I have one. I just like is it exactly 5 degrees? Because I have a star, I just don't know if it's the star. Yeah, let me know if it's like 5 degrees in XYZ minutes or whatever. I don't want to give you something different or inaccurate. Oh, 5 degrees exactly? Okay. Well, I mean, this one couldn't really be more exact. Let me see where it is in the... Damn, that couldn't be more precise. I mean, like, I'm using a database to find it. It's just like, you know, and I also have my own. It's just like, you know, you always got to scroll through a bunch of stuff all the time. But yeah. So your moon sign angles the Cepheus constellation. Cepheus is the king in the sky. Um, Essentially, the story of Cepheus is the king of the northern constellations, bordering things like Cassiopeia, Ursa Minor, Cygnus, so on and so forth. And essentially, it's one of the old 48 constellations regarding the back when Ptolemy was aligning all this shit and figuring it out. But he is like, I don't know how to put it. You know, it's like he's the king of the constellations. He's the king of the stars. Um, he's depicted with like a very like think heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? And more specifically, um, when it comes to this constellation, it's dealing with a lot of weight and responsibility of what it means to be royal in this lifetime. And royalty doesn't necessarily mean like, um, it doesn't necessarily mean that like you're wearing a crown, you're stomping on people, and you're just essentially like taxing the entire population around you to just be robbing them for funsies. But it more or less means that you carry a regal nature about you, and you sort of know what's right and what's wrong, and people naturally gravitate to you for always having a certain sense of moral compass. And it's just like, you know, Aries moon, you're already a leader, you're already impulsive, you're already just like naturally focused on the energies of what's going on. Whatchamacallit? I mean, like, I have so many things to say about that. But, essentially what's going on with the regal natures of that is, you know what you have going on. You know what you have, like, you know what to do. You know what's right. You always know, and people always look to you for that. But when it comes to more specifically your fixed star, which is called Al-Qadir, which is literally the like, it's off to the right shoulder of the Cepheus constellation, although from our side it appears to be on the left side. So it's like so when it comes to like the left and right of like the spiritual natures, it's like from the spirit side it makes sense. From the left side, it the only thing I got out of that is that I hate Sirius. Always have, always will. Um, so when we talk about Al Qadir, it's almost like, the devil or the angel on your shoulder, but since it's spiritually right, but from our perspective, it's left. It's like you can't exactly see where. So it's basically like you don't exactly know where these morals or this moral compass that you have has like necessarily came from. You just feel it. You just do it. You just express it. You don't really do anything what's going on, right? Um, all right, well, if you're going to keep commenting that, I will set you straight. So essentially, it's not that you guys, it's like you're saying ideas that I have done and enacted like 5 years ago. And the issue isn't about identifying where all of it is. The issue is essentially aggregating all the information to do that. That's the real problem here, you know? So yeah, but back to the Al-Qadir, it's basically like you have an angel on your shoulder, you don't know where it came from, you don't know why you're righteous, you just are, and you have divine guidance in terms of your moral systems of who you want to be, how you want to make it happen, and how you want to essentially just always be divinely guided in terms of not necessarily feeling guilt, because when it comes to Al Qadir, having that level of righteousness and having that responsibility puts you in a position of, if I know better, I should do better. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay. So it's essentially along the lines of, okay, cool, got it. Can you write that down, please, Beans? Thank you. Whatchamacallit? So it's essentially like you have this natural moral guidance where it puts you in a position of, if you know better, do better, and you can't exactly live with a guilty conscience because it will always be on your mind, it will always affect your energy, and it will always essentially make you resort back to trying to right that wrong, and it'll literally block you from moving forward in any way, shape, or form. So you've learned very young to not necessarily go beyond that in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, that's pretty much the vibes of the Al-Qadir. So yeah, if you're you know, if you want to go deeper, let me know, and if not, just drop some questions in the chat. You feel me? The Garnet Star vibes. What was the next one, Beans? Is it Ashmeet? Oh, can't find the degree. Well, shit, dog. That's all I got, man. Oh, it's always fun. Yeah, when people are new to degrees, it's quite difficult. But yeah, in terms of an automated system, I've had automated system ideas for a long time. It's not necessarily about it's not necessarily about oh, that's cool. Thanks for letting me know. It's not necessarily about building an automated system or aggregating all the information. It's just like, I'm not going to do any of that if there's no market demand. You feel me? And you know, to solve a lot of your early business wonders and or issues, the concept of, if I build it, they will come, is going to set you on a 2 to 3 year rigmarole of something that is essentially a lottery ticket. So you might as well just play the lottery. So that's why I'm not really building it, and you have to wait for market demand first. Learn that the hard way. Not doing that again. But I'm trying to see if I can calculate this chart from my brain. Okay, so Sag, Capricorn, cusp. 2:39 p.m. So that would make you a whatchamacallit? You'd probably be a Sag rising. In terms of moon. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm open to discussing that. I have I don't know, I work with a lot of software people, so I don't exactly need that. Like, one of my homies did like 7 figures in sales for HP. One of my other homies rewrote the firmware for the Wi-Fi Pineapple at 15. And you know, has like the direct contact to some tech people that are currently in office. So if you can beat that, I'll talk to you. But I appreciate the offer nonetheless. Yeah, did we find that moon sign degree yet? Oh, so it is Taurus. Oh, first house. Interesting. Oh, right. I did that backwards. My bad. Yo. Oh, yeah. Sick. Sweet. That's amazing. That's what I was looking for. So I told that every day. Yeah, I got that. That was actually very easy. That's It's like it's an unfortunate star that we recently had a lot of bullshit with. Okay. So, but yeah, that's cool. Definitely hit you up after the fact. Damn. Yeah, so that's algal. Yeah, I believe in that stuff. I have an astrology channel. I don't want to. I want to be hidden by the words, man. But so algal is the right eye of the head of Medusa that Perseus just cut off. I actually lived in this place near, I think it was either like Moundville, Mississippi, or Alabama. So in terms of that, like that was basically stars that the ancient Indians and the ancient constellations essentially did in terms of aligning with Perseus for that star for whatever thing. So, you know, numerous like global civilizations did numerous stuff for numerous stars for numerous, you know, reasons that are unbeknownst to most people. But when it comes to the Perseus constellation, the Perseus is a similar archetype to Hercules in the way that it was a warrior sent to go defeat some type of monster in some way, shape, or form. But when it comes to somebody having an alignment with Algol, that means they can be a bit chaotic. When it comes to the Taurus energy like that, it means that they can essentially align in such a way that is, how do I put this? It means that they are, like, they like their comforts, they like specific foods, they like to be in a certain space that is beneficial to them, and they like to kind of like play things close to their chest and not necessarily feel cornered, but open themselves up into a space of where it's like they feel a certain need, right? So, depending on the time of year, let me just double check that. Whatchamacallit? Because there's like a specific time of year where alcohol is no bueno, and there's another time of year where it is better, to say the least. So when it comes to moon conjunct algol, it can be a splendid, and it can be almost like illustrious in some way. It can be great. You can be distinguished and experience an opulent nature, but you can also like it's almost like you were living like a king. Things were great. You were vibing, and then your constituents hated you and then took you to the gallows, you know, like, and you can have a very violent end, to put it lightly. The positive of it is it can help you develop the ability to essentially gain victory over a lot of your competitors, and experience a lot of setbacks prior to where it's just like if you be taking L's in your battles, you can gain a lot of you know, that's kind of like a sign to where it's like you're about to win if you just keep going. And then the other thing is you don't really get tired when you're focused on something. You can continuously strive to reach your goals and, you know, never really stop coming up with ideas, you know, problems or solutions to whatever you got going on. And, you know, you just living a cool life, always kind of winning. Some of the negatives are you can, you know, like, you're pretty clever. You can be, yeah, it happens when focused. It's kind of like the type of, so this is where it comes into play, where it's like there is an aspect of ego that is harmful, of where it's like you think you can constantly accomplish anything, and the issue with that is you can't necessarily sustain it. You can't necessarily like accomplish all the things you want, and sometimes you're going to be getting on the wrong train which you need to get off of as quickly as possible because it's going to be more expensive to get back where you started. How did I figure out they were strong? I had a 4-hour meditation where I did a visualization experience of me in a past life that eventually grew into a galaxy. And then when I saw myself grow into that galaxy, it was a very specific real space in the universe. And then I heard the voice of, "This is where you came from," 3 hours into a meditation. And then I went, "Oh shit, this is how it works." And I found out that this specific space in the sky directly correlated to my moon sign and degree in that alignment. And I was like, "Oh shit, I should do a reading about this." And pretty much it's kind of led the the whole charge of yeah, it led to this right now. So here we are. But which planet is the most powerful? Arguably the moon for humans. That's kind of why I'm doing this right now. I'm talking about people's specific moon sign and degrees in their star. Now back to talking about algol. You're clever, but you're clever to a fault, to where you're like, you're just a homie that doesn't want to quit, man. It'll fuck you up. But like that kind of comes with like turbulent actions, because you won't surrender your objectives, and then you can become involved in controversial matters, and it can really grow to a point that is damaging to you. So that's kind of like the issues with algol. But yeah, dude, algol's a vibe. It's just kind of like relentless, because you have to think about it. It's the right eye of Medusa's head, so it's the rational, regulated thought process of Medusa, of where it was like, I'm gonna concrete their asses, and then Perseus was like, nope, and she was so committed to that idea that she could have just dipped, and went about their business in such a way to where she could have just chilled out and stopped concreting motherfuckers and turning them to stone. But no, she didn't. So you know what happens? A hero rose and cut you down. That's what happens if you don't listen. So it's like, you get a whisper, you get a scream, you get a yell, you get a smack on the head, you get a punch in the face, you get somebody trying to rob you, you get a brick wall, you get a car hitting you, and eventually someone's just gonna come and tell you to restart your existence. So essentially, it is like quit while you're ahead type of vibes, and keep that in mind with whatchamacallit, with algol. So yeah, I forget, what was that, ash meat? Yeah, so be careful of an algol moon. We had a lot of pretty strong, like almost exactly a year ago this time, Uranus was directly aligned with algol, and you probably had some chaotic whoop wops, you feel me? But yeah, that's the vibe. Don't be too hard-headed, and you'll succeed. How the hell get a hot girlfriend? I don't know, dog. Be lit. Go talk to people. Try to get to know people. Just be a genuine person and dedicate yourself to self-improvement. It's not that hard. Yeah, for sure. If you want a deeper reading, just hit the link in the description, and that'll guide you to where I do my reading services. But yeah, other than that, if no one has anything else in mind, I'm gonna just be straight up bullshitting. Here, 1 second. I'll go in and out of the closet right now. Right now. But yeah, what was it? Thank you. Ugh. So yeah, anybody else want a little fixed star gloss over? You. I'm in Gemini. That sums it up, dog. You got it. Nah, dude. The Earth is flat, and you should try sailing from, you know, Seattle to Hawaii, and, you know, not use trigonometry. Yeah, you just need to find your moon degree. If you tell Beans your birth time, date, and place, she can look it up for you. But you got about 1 minute to do it, because I'm going to go get a snack and probably end the live if you don't do it quick enough. Oh, man, you're in Hawaii? What island? Let me guess. Your birth year was 2009. Vibes, dog. Straight surfing vibes. Yeah, I got a homie that works on the Four Seasons in Maui. Yeah. I make a lot of vibes. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. But yeah, I got a homie that works on the Four Seasons in Maui, and I keep making a bunch of like White Lotus jokes, and I keep telling him like, yeah, man, you're getting all these tips from whatchamacallit, you're getting all these tips from what is it? Dang, what's that actress's name? One day. Yeah, I keep telling him to be scheming on them Jennifer Coolidge babes so we can get big tips. And I'm just like, he makes so many White Lotus jokes back and forth. Yeah, you're taking too long. Catch me next time. Or